himself and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. The steps of a good man are ordered by the I Am, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the I Am upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful and lendeth, his seed is blessed. Depart from evil, and do good, and dwell forevermore. For the I Am loved judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever. But the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land, and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaketh wisdom, and his tongue talketh of judgment. The law of his God is in his heart, none of his steps shall slide. The wicked watcheth the righteous, and seeketh to slay him. But the I Am will not leave him in his hands, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the I Am, and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee, you, to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. I have seen the wicked in great power, spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together, and the end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the I Am. He is their strength in time of trouble. And the I Am shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. Psalms chapter 37, verses 21 through 40. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have swayed the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful is the holiness of the Most High. Beautiful, 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 clean. Yes, his law is perfect. His law is pure. His law is fair. See, you would say God's ways are unfair, they're unclean, they're not human. But God says it's not your ways, not human or godly. God judges a righteous judgment according to fairness. Yes, he does. If you killed, you shall be killed. If you murder with spite or malice, you will be judged, and the same will be done to you. The same with any other thing that God says. He asked the children of Israel to delete such people speedily and in truth and in all fairness. But this wicked world has justified their kin, they've justified their likeness, they've justified those that they desire, their friends, those that do them justice, get in offices and do those things that are not right before the Most High, and not be using equity and fairness in their judgment, regardless if it's their own son or daughter. These things God will come against this current world judicial system, even as law enforcement system. Yes, it will. You say, well, how can you be so, you're being absolute. That's right. God's law is absolute. Even when the woman had her son cursed God, she brought him out and told the elders, and they stoned him to death because he did that which God hates. Yes. And how was your Isis to be so just when the woman came out and the Pharisees began to stone her? Did not the law of Moses give him instructions? Would God not obey his own instructions? And him that had been around God amongst the angels and everything obeyed not the instructions of the Most High? He should have done thus and such. And if the Pharisees did have sinned, then he should be persecuted likewise. Even God put a thing with those who lie and cheat and accuse falsely. In saying this, what did God say? He said, now if the people that have bared false witness against the one accused, then and they found to be false, then the people that have bared the false witness shall suffer the same thing as the accused. He squashes it right there. In other words, if you're going to lie on somebody and we catch you in that lie, you're going to die or you're going to be sentenced just the same. Yes, you are, according to the Most High. And this is how Israel is going to work in the latter days when the Most High takes control of his earth. This is not our earth. This is God's earth. This is God's earth. Yes, it is. Now we're in the book of 2 Samuel. Yes, the book of 2 Samuel. We're in chapter 8, I'm sorry. 2 Samuel chapter 8. Chapter 8 and verse 1 as you prepare. 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 1. Yes, God says, build me a house. Build me a house, David. God says, I want a house. You built your house of cedar. Men have come into your bosom. Yes. The same thing he would say to Drury or any other these other people of every nation. He doesn't want a church on every block. God does not want that. That's not God's way. There's a place that God has and he will designate where his name is, and that's where the people will gather. Yes. That's where they will gather. I mean, if he says, I want one in this city, it shall be one place, or it shall be two places, however the people are more convenient to travel. Every block shows that there is conspiracy in the mix and falsehood in the planning. Yes. But after a while, here we go. He says, now after this came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. David took Methegama out of the hand of the Philistines, and he smote Moab and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Even 2 lines measured he put to death, and with 1 full line he kept alive. And so the Moabites, Moab, his grandmother was a Moabitess, became David's servant and brought gifts. Yes, like I always said, a woman is transitional. She can either have children and be that of her own people, or she can go to other nations or other nationalities and do that which she wants to do. But who's your father? God does not go by the woman as far as he going toward you. You can do your own DNA by your mother or whatever. God doesn't got nothing to do with that. But when it comes down to Jacob, when it comes down from Abraham all the way to Jacob, even today, who's your father? Where did he come from? This is the way God thinks. The world doesn't have nothing on that. See, you got a big mistake. Religion cannot own that. Only God can own that. Who's your father? From his seed was you born. Whatever nationality your father is, that you are, according to the narrative and what God says. You are either Malik, son of Mekhaledek, or whatever you want to call it. You are either Jamal, son of Salamuno. You either one or the other. You're not Susan, daughter of Megan. No, you're not. That's pagan. Everything you see, even in the Bible, when it turns to pagan, it turns to matriarchy. The matriarchy tried to take over in the book of Ezekiel, I believe, when they made cakes to the queen of heaven. The spirit tried to pervert God and what he did. That's what it is. Now, I digress. And became David's servant and brought gifts. And David smote Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. And David took him 1,000 chariots, 700 horsemen, and 20,000 footmen. And David hewed all the chariot horses, but reserved them for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to help or succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew the Syrians, 22,000 men. Now, these Syrians that you see today and these other people, they are not the original people. None of them are. None of them are. They were servants, yes, they were servants at one time. They were called Reds and clients and all these things, but the people they were black. You have to realize everybody came from beyond the Euphrates, from Mount Everett. Before that, yes, you came from Africa, but the boat didn't land there. I'm sorry. The Garden of Eden was a place that God prepared that the man might till the ground. He put the man in the Garden of Eden. He hallowed the Garden of Eden. But the man was not he was not formed in the Garden of Eden. Thank you. Read it. He placed the man in the Garden of Eden. Now, the ark that Noah was on was in Mount Ararat, which was really around Russia somewhere. And you can do the math yourself. It's around Russia. And everybody at that time from Noah on came out of this area. Yes. And they wandered westward. Yes, they did. They wandered west, north, south, east. In Pangea, there was no really too much of an east they could go. So they had to go really west and south and north. And this is how your nations were formed according to the narrative of Jasher and even, should I say, Jubilees. Jubilees meaning 49 years. Now, and David in verse 6, we're in 6, I'm sorry, I get to talking and we kind of go. He says, and when in verse 5, let's go. Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah. David slew the Syrians 22,000 men. Yes. See, you have to realize the leadership is how you're noticed by your leader. You're noticed by who leads you. If God leads you, you're noticed by God. If your Jesus leads you, you're known by, or you going by his doctrine, you're noticed as somebody of Jesus or Muhammad or whoever. But when you go by the doctrine of Moses, the doctrine, not the doctrine of Moses, but what Moses received from God, then you're going by the doctrine of the Creator, period. That's it. You're going by that doctrine. In verse 7. And David took the shields of gold. See, this is where gold was, it was shiny, it was nice, but they didn't really have nothing but it was just a metal that was not in much. It was shiny, a metal that was not much in abundance. And that were on the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. And from Betah and from Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceedingly much brass. Now he doing all this for the temple of the Most High, for his son. Now when Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Toi sent Joram, his son, unto the king David to salute him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had wars with Toi, and Joram brought him with vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass. Now you have to look at even Burkina Faso, the Sahel. They had wars and everything with these insurgents and all these other people. And yet, there's not really a place in Africa where people could actually go, or other nations can go and trade without having crooked politicians and all of this. This is why they go and help Abram Tawari and his cabinet members and those who are with him. They go to help him because they are protected and they know that fairity or equity will be issued even as they start businesses in that place. And they give to him, and this helps them. Not only the people of the Sahel, but also those who are investing in the Sahel. Yes, that's what it is about. Yes, you wonder. The West never did anything but lied. Truth be told, it's all over the media, it's everywhere. I mean, how the contrast between the West and those East. One is there to help, but to their advantage, yes. But they're not there to not cause these people to come up. See, when you have poor, you're going to have thefts, you're going to have everything. But when your people have what they need, then they're going to be content. Most. Now, verse 11. And also King David did dedicate unto the I am with the silver and gold, and he had dedicated all the nations which he subdued. Of Syria and Moab, of the children of Ammon, and of the Philistines, and of Amalek, and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. See, son of Rehob again. In other words, they did not have any surnames like the West would give you. The surname was that of your father. Whoever your father was, that was your last name, so to speak, or your surname. Yes, it was. And David got him a name when he returned from smiting the Syrians. Now, David's name should have been diminished where he put his God first. Excuse me. In the Valley of Salt. This is the Dead Sea. The Valley of Salt. Being 18,000 men, but he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom he put garrisons, and they of Edom became David's servants. And the I am preserved David whatsoever he went. In other words, even God told Edom, their father, he said that Jacob is going to put a yoke around your neck, but you're going to be free of that yoke. And today he is free of that yoke. But he's about to be destroyed. Period. God's word did not fall to the ground. It's just you didn't understand it. And the I am preserved David whithersoever he went. Why? Because he did that which God prescribed for the children of Israel. He did that according to God's heart. What is God's heart? His laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. Whatever he commanded Israel to do in the land of Israel, as it is known then, David did that to erase all those that God told Jacob to get rid of out of the land of Canaan. It wasn't the land of Canaan, it was the land of Shem. God had allotted that to Shem, and God gave it to Jacob, which had no land at that time. And Edom had a land, all Moabites had a land, and there were lands all the way back to, they're not going to tell you this. That whole, what they call the Middle East, that was all Shem's land. All of it. Even over into Djibouti. It was up to the brook of Egypt, which is the Nile, he was talking. See, they play this word salad and get you confused. The land of Israel is part of Africa. Shem's land is part of Africa. God had given the Hamites a vast amount of land and riches. He's given that to the Hamites, but what's happening now, I don't know. They saying Japheth there, but Japheth don't have to be who we think they are. No, they're not. Please. That was just God causing a havoc in the earth because he contrasted so that he might bring the children of Jacob up, that they might call on the name of their God. But now he allowed them to be confused, and for those who know to come out and know who their God is, going by his laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances. But yet we fail because he also caused a strong delusion, and his name is Jesus, your Christ. You might say, well, Brother Clay, you kind of messed up now. The Bible says, I don't care what that says. Look at the narrative. If you go against the laws, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High, you's a liar. I don't care if you added that book on to the book. It's a lie. God never changes. And if you can change God, you tell me how God changed. They told the lie and the word became flesh. You can become the word if the word, God's commandments, statutes, and commandments dwell in you, you can become the word. Because it's the words of God that's dwelling in you. Because you have memorized them, you have caused it, and you obey them. You are the word. You quote them, you convey them, you live it. This is where you become the word. A flowing robe and an Egyptian headdress and a smoking lamp is not going to make you holy. Not before God. Now, let's continue. It says now, David reigned over all Israel. David executed judgment and justice unto all the people. In other words, judgment. He judged the people according to the law. In other words, the law was already there. The world everybody's already judged. He just had to let the people know. And as long as you know the law, you can judge yourself. If you know the law, commandments, statutes, and ordinances, you can judge yourself whether you be wrong or right. And teach your children the same, that they might judge themselves and do what's right before the Most High. They don't have to be no effeminate or masculine or nobody like that. They don't have to do that. They can be who they are. A woman can be a woman and a man can be a man. But these things are put in your way as a stumbling block. This ISIS and this Muslims and all these other religions throughout the land. Although they seem like they're close to what the Old Testament is, it's not God. It's not God's word. It's not God's commandments. You can add to, just like they did. What's his name did? Saul. Saul got so he just decided he just gonna go and seek a medium, which God says don't do. Saul got so beside himself, he took a hold of the Urim and the Thummim, and he did that which God was the right of the Levitical priest. Saul did a lot of things that he should not have done, just as many today. This is where you come up with your different religions, your different denominations. This is how you come up with them. People do what seemeth in his own heart, his own mind. This is what it is. And you have to break loose of this matrix that you're in, that's been taught to you from a child. Some of you are old and you can't break free from it. You can't break free because you think this should be. But you have to see and pray and ask God to lead you. And plus it depends on the plan of God for you, whether you be a vessel of dishonor or a vessel of honor. Because many are called and few really are chosen, which is a true statement. Now, David reigned over all Israel and executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the host. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Jehoshaphat Halud, that would be his last name, that's the name of his father, was a recorder. So Jehoshaphat, the son of Elul, was recording the things that had went on in the kingdom. And Zodak, the son of Hatub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were priests. And Zariah was the scribe. In other words, he went on and recorded things also that was going on in the kingdom. Yes, that was told him or he had witnessed for himself. And so here you are, you had a recorder and you had a scribe. These things you also, or you could have the courts of David. This could have been a recorder of what conspired in the courts, where when David judged the people, or those things that he should have judged. They had also captains of 10, hundreds, and thousands, and 10,000s. Yes, they had those captains, but some were too hard and they were brought to David. Okay, we can say that he was a recorder. Now, Jehoshaphat, the son of Hilod, was a recorder, and Zodok, the son of Hitub, was and Amalek, the son of Abathar. In other words, that separates them. There was an Amalek, but that's not the Amalek that was of Saul's lineage. This is the Amalek of son of Abiathar. His father was named Abiathar. They were the priest. That was by lineage. That's not by appointment. How in the world you gonna wear these darling white robes and all these doggone Ku Klux Klan or whatever you want to call the headdresses and Egyptian headdress or whatever you want to call it, all get them from Egyptians, and call yourself that of God when this whole description of what the Levitical priests are. In other words, number one, you're going to be either a darker hue or black. That's number one, and many of them that's thrown out the window, so that's false. Either way, now, and Zodok, he was a scribe, and Benaiah is one who would play a lot in. This is a warrior here. The son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Now, this is why David had the concubines and the wives, so that he might have sons that would rule after him. And hopefully he'll find a son that loves the Most High out of all of them. So Benaiah and the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites, which were, should I say, royal guards. They were the CIA. They were the FBI. They were the ones who went out and done the dirty work at the command of the king. Now, and with that, this is the way, look at how the situation transcribes. Look at the political, look at the construction, look at how this thing was so perfect and how things was orchestrated throughout the Kings and the Chronicles. How the organization of the government was as far as men are concerned. Now, God's government would have been totally different. He didn't need these. He would just tell an angel to do something and it was done. That's it. Or he'd tell a man to speak and it was spoke. Now, with that, we're going to say, get on God's side and you will have peace.
Walk with me.